Hey, welcome back to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. I'm your host, Coach Zach. I'm here with Coach Zach and sweet as candy, Coach Brandy.
Hi, everybody.
How we doing today, guys?
Good.
Great. All right. You guys ready to do this thing?
Ready.
Absolutely.
Ready. All right. Before we get into today's episode, our topic, let's go client of the week. Brandy, you came up with one.
Yes.
And I agree. So go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Shannon B, who works out in the Shannon Barrow. She works out in the afternoon, and she has been coming in very consistent, working hard in the gym, working hard outside of the gym. She listens to the coaches. She's really striving to lift heavy and just really gets after it every day in her workout. And she recently did an in-body scan and saw some great results, increase in muscle mass, and she's feeling great. And her attitude is just awesome in the gym. So I just really want to give her just a big shout out. She's doing awesome.
Yeah, I agree. She's like a, she's kind of like an avatar client for us. You know, we talk about all these different things that are like age related and things that happen when you kind of hit middle age, especially as a female. And she came in kind of with just checking those boxes and, you know, obviously somebody that has taking good care of herself her whole entire life. She's very pretty, and like you can tell that she's just always like been aware of her health and prioritized her health, but like hits that certain age and then all of a sudden things aren't working for her anymore. And it's like, well, she showed up, she put in the work, and now she's gotten the results from that. And it's like, awesome job. Just keep going.
Yes.
You know, just keep going. So, great work, Shannon.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get into today's topic. So, this is something that I would say more often than not, I see with people coming in. And so, and especially women. And today we're talking about under eating. So I think that there's this belief that we should not eat as much, right? And it's kind of like, hey, if you want to be skinnier, live longer, like eat less, right? And skip meals. What we see all the time though is people coming in and their metabolism is destroyed from not giving their body the fuel that it needs, not eating enough for who knows how long. And that might be like a consistent thing, or it may have been like a yo-yo type of thing for decades. And by the time we get to them, we're like, hey, here's your basal metabolic rate. Your calories are substantially less than your basal metabolic rate, which your basal metabolic rate is like how many calories you're burning in a coma in 24 hours. Doesn't take into account like any workout, any activity level whatsoever. And so when we see that, it's like that person, their body is in survival mode. It's in fat storing mode. Like they have no chance of losing weight unless we fix that. Mm-hmm. Right. So, Brandy, I'll go to you primarily because you're female, right? Yeah. And so you're seeing this with a lot of the people that you work with, and I think it's predominantly females. Yep. I guess men are kind of like, we're going to eat all the food, right? Kind of opposite problem there. Not always though. But let's just talk about this idea that you should undereat.
Yeah, and I do see this a lot. I think it comes up a lot in conversation during training sessions around someone will come in, they're, wanting to work out, but they're dragging. Their workout is really hard. They don't feel like they have the energy to get through the workout. And so I'll ask, what'd you eat today? And a lot of times, I hear skipped meal, skipped breakfast, skipped lunch, didn't have enough to eat to fuel them through their workout. So that's what I hear a lot from people just coming in feeling tired, low energy, and really just feel like they don't have the strength to power through their workout. So that is a result of low energy availability or not having enough energy or fuel to sustain yourself through the day. Just
just in
to
general.
maintain your body in general, but then let alone
Do
any
a
sort
workout.
of workout or activity that you have on top of that.
Yeah. So Zach, I think I kind of just know where you're going to go here, but I'll just go ahead, because you're going to be pretty cut and dry, I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with Brandy. I was kind of like smiling when she was talking, because I had that exact conversation like 1 hour ago with the 10 a.m. group about people came in, like 2 out of 5 of them were saying how like they had zero energy whatsoever. First thing I asked them was like, did you eat breakfast? And every single one was like, oh no, I can't eat breakfast before I work out. And I was like, it's 10 a.m. Like they've been up for like 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
Like you got to eat something.
Right.
And I think people are very reserved about that. And I think people kind of like identify as being like, no, I don't eat breakfast. Like I don't. Like the first meal of what you eat tends to be the most important, because your body is pretty much catabolic by the time you wake up, because it's been burning through all of the initial stores, and now we're burning through protein probably if you've slept enough. So if we're not doing some intentional like time restricted eating thing where you are on a certain schedule and you're just like, oh, I just don't eat breakfast, and now you're at your 11 a.m. workout through 12 o'clock, by the time you get home, whatever, like you haven't eaten now probably for an enormous amount of time from your last meal, which is probably like 7 p.m. or so. So if we want to, especially if we want to build muscle, you cannot build muscle if you're on a deficit and you're burning. I just asked people about the same thing. It was why I smiled when you first started talking about being your calories burned lower than your basal metabolic rate. Like there's no way you could ever put on any sort of muscle or lose fat if you don't have enough food. And I think people usually have the exact opposite approach. Like I just talked to somebody 20 minutes ago who really wants to lose weight, and she was asking about like protein. And I was like, whatever she told me, I was like, it is not enough. She was like, it's usually just like 20% of my macros. I was like, you got to double that.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, even if I want to lose fat, I'm like, yeah, especially if you want to lose fat, you need the protein more than anything else. Like that's got the highest thermic effect, which means you burn the most calories just to consume it. So like if a lot of people I think are very, stuck in that mindset, like if I need to lose weight, I got to cut down on everything. It's really, really the opposite.
Yeah. And I don't know, a lot of times I wonder if it's like the chicken or the egg situation, because look, people are dealing with like leaky gut syndrome, right? Where they have an upside down gut bacteria that impacts their thyroid, right? Negatively impacts their thyroid, which controls their metabolism, their metabolic function. And it's like, maybe that started before they just all of a sudden just stopped wanting to eat. Right. And so there's some chemical imbalance that's basically saying like, hey, you're not hungry, you don't need to eat. Or maybe they induced that by some of their eating behaviors previously. And then now because they had a poor diet or poor eating behaviors, now they've got the poor gut bacteria, they got the thyroid issues, and now their metabolism isn't working. Right. Regardless of which one happened first, you can't lose weight that way. Right. And when we say weight, we mean body fat, right? Like obviously you can go on the Holocaust diet, right? And you can just eat like nothing or very, very little and increase your activity level and then work out and all of that and lose weight. It's not going to be good weight. Right. And then as soon as you start eating, you're going to put it all back on and it's all going to be in the form of fat. Right. But what we mean is lose body fat. And really, we know people want to lose body fat. They want to tone up. They want to have lean muscle mass. Like those are the goals. And so you cannot do that by not eating enough calories and sending your body into this fat storing survival mode. Right. It's how people have survived for thousands and thousands of years, right? You just go back to like feast, famine, winter, spring, like summer, fall, the seasons. During the winter, there was less food available, so our metabolism would slow down. And then in the summer, everything grows, or the spring, everything starts growing and there's fruit just, on the ground and vegetables and everything's growing and you can just walk around and eat constantly, right? And speed up your metabolism and your body's like, hey, everything's cool here. If we didn't do that, if it didn't work that way, humans wouldn't have survived. Right. Right. And so our bodies are built for survival. So we got to play nice with that system and understand it. So then we can, get the one, be healthy and feel good, but then also get the effect that we're going for.
Right.
right?
Yeah, and your body gets used to, so if you're eating, let's just as an example, 800 calories a day, which is very low number of calories, like very low number of calories.
People do it all the time.
I know, I hear that all the time, which is why I'm throwing it out. And so your body gets used to that, your body adapts, but it's just in survival mode. So you are not going to lose. So, whatever calories you're putting into your body, you're just using for survival. You're not going to get, the fat loss or the muscle gain that you're looking for. Well, so you have to make a lifestyle adjustment. And these fad diets where you do for 30 days, that might be a quick fix and you drop weight, but it's not sustainable.
Right. Especially long term.
Yeah.
And if you're, let's face it, nobody's going to stay on like an 800 calorie a day diet long term. Right. They might do that 4 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever, but then they're going nuts like on the weekend. Right. And so they're drinking alcohol, they're eating garbage, they're
constantly hungry.
Constantly hungry. And so like they're ravenous. And so even though day to day, they might not have taken in that many calories, at some point they're binge eating and getting in a bunch of empty calories that now their body, because it's in survival mode, is going, let's store all this as fat.
Yes.
We got to survive. We got to store all this. It's not going to say, hey, let's repair our muscle tissue and get like our body healed up, right? And ready to function.
Right.
So. Yeah. And Brandy, you said to talk about like your body being in survival mode. I think not necessarily like general population people tend to like, not because they know this information, but like if you look at the RDA guidelines for protein, for example, it is just like the bare minimum that your body needs in order to survive and like to maintain its normal like basic function. So like the RDA for protein per day is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Like that is essentially nothing. Like if you weighed 100 pounds, which obviously is very, very small, you're only supposed to eat not even 80 grams because it's per kilogram. You have 2.2 pounds per kilogram. So you're probably at like in the 30s for like a gram of protein. Like that would be one you should have in a meal. So if you like look at information like that, like which like a normal person would look at that and be like, that's a reputable source. Like that's the national guidelines for your recommended dietary allowances and stuff like that. And it's incredibly low. So like we need to like understand like that might be what you need to survive, but like that is not what you need if you want to build muscle, to be healthy and actually like enjoy yourself, because you could like take those ridiculous things. Like I've never even heard of somebody on an 800 calorie diet. I could not imagine being on an 800 calorie diet. So maybe you could do it for a certain period of time, but like, you would be miserable. So like our goal would be, you need to like produce results, but actually enjoy your life. Because that's why what it comes down to for all that like food intake and dietary stuff is people don't stick with it because they hate what they're doing. Like it doesn't work that way. So like if we want, most people are under eating, but like you almost like, it depends on what you eat, of course, but if you just err on the side of eating more of it, provided it's good food, of course, it's not just like terrible food, like you're going to be better off because your body can store and use it. What it can't use, it'll get rid of. So like definitely I would err on the side of eat more of whatever it is.
Yeah. And I would assume that part of it is the misconception and the beliefs around like, hey, the less I eat, the skinnier I'm going to be. But then I would also say some of it's around just laziness, right? Like a lot of people, they're too busy to eat meals.
Right.
Or they're too busy to drink water, right? You hear that one. I sit down at my desk and I just don't drink water. I'm like, is that the life you want? Like you want to, life's short, man. You want to live that like your whole life where you're so busy you can't get up and drink some water.
As if you can't drink water while you're working.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Right. But you hear that from people about their diets and eating all the time, right? Like, come on, right? Like you can do it. It doesn't take that much time and effort.
Well, and like it does require preparation too.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times if you are not willing to put in the preparation, like, because people like will say like, oh, I'm busy with work, which you very well might be. And if you don't prepare anything, then yeah, you're just going to stop somewhere and eat not good food because you didn't take the time to actually like lay out what you needed for, even if it's just for that day. Because it's hard to get somebody who's never prepped food to prep for a week, because it's a lot of food.
I wouldn't ask
like,
anybody to do that.
Right. But like, it just shows like if you are like really committed to that, like you do need to spend some time to like, even if you're not prepping food, to like know what you're going to do so that you do have enough food.
Yeah, the night before.
Otherwise, there's always something that gets in the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, Zach, you're with clients back to back to back for 7 hours straight, right? Somehow you still find time to eat in between your clients, a lot, right? Throughout the whole day. And it's funny because now we're remodeling. And so you have to walk all the way around and heat up your food and come all the way back. And so like clients are seeing you in that like 5-minute window when you're between sessions, carrying your rice, you got your food, and it's like you're busy. You've got 5 minutes to like go to the bathroom, heat up your food, and eat it.
Yeah.
And you're still getting it done.
And it's not even as much as I would like to be eating. So that would be, because that's just an example, right? Like I have it prepped. It's not the ideal amount that I would eat as far as the timing goes, but like, I know that's what I have to work with. So like, if you have 2 minutes, like I'm going to run over there and eat something up, because it affects your life like easily. If I like miss whatever, because I got like my session ran long or whatever it may be, and I didn't have time, like it is immediately noticeable for me. Like halfway through that next session, I like have less energy, or I'm like just do not feel the same like alert or whatever it may be.
Well, and that's the thing. Like people will complain about their energy levels being like in the toilet, and they've got like this afternoon crash and they're fatigued, but they could have easily avoid that just by eating consistently throughout the day, but then they don't. And then at night they're like, oh, I'm too tired to meal prep. But then it's like this negative feedback loop that you're just starting over again.
Right.
So,
well, and it not only affects your energy, it affects everything. It affects the quality of sleep that you're getting. It affects your recovery.
Your cognitive ability.
Yes, cognitive ability. It affects everything. Your metabolism. Growing hair, your skin, everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have to eat enough, have enough fuel to be able to function well. Yeah. And you're not going to feel good if you're not eating enough. We hear it all the time. People just not feeling good. They're dragging. They're tired. They're not sleeping at night. Yeah.
I want to talk about the weight loss and the client that's trying to lose weight and can't lose weight, right? Happens a lot more frequently with women than men. Typically men will make some dietary changes and the weight will just start moving, right? A lot of times with women, because of hormonal issues and things, like it's pesky and that weight doesn't want to come off. And so they think in their head that even though they haven't been eating enough in the first place, now they're going to try that same strategy. They're just going to do it harder and more aggressively. Yeah. So then they cut back on their calories even more, right? And it just has the opposite effect. Their body just hangs on to the weight. So reverse dieting is a concept of like, it's exactly like it sounds, but we have to basically do the opposite of what you've been doing in order to get your body to adapt and chill out. Okay. Usually that process results in an initial increase in body fat, because for however long your body's been in this fat storing mode and survival mode, then we increase your calories and your it's going to take a few weeks for your body to adapt so that it'll store fat until it says, hey, there's plenty of food here. Everything's okay. We can start speeding up the metabolism and getting it going. Okay. Right. Very difficult to get through to somebody of, hey, listen, I know that you can't lose weight. You've been spinning your wheels for however many years. And now I'm telling you that the way to do it is we have to increase your calories to a good, stable level. You're probably going to gain some body fat over the course of the next couple of weeks. And we're probably not going to see any weight loss for 6 to 9 weeks. And then it'll start to come off once your body recognizes that everything is okay. That's a tough sell.
It is. And it's tough to, even once you convince someone to do that, it's tough to work with them to see them through to the point where they get through that period.
breakthrough point.
Yes, the
Yeah.
breakthrough point to where they do start to lose the body fat.
Yeah.
Because they start to gain weight, and then oftentimes will think this isn't working,
Yep.
even though you told them this would happen, and then they give up.
Right. But that's honestly, guys, that's what needs to happen. That's the only way for you to solve the problem once and for all, and not just continue this vicious cycle where maybe you drop a few pounds because you got more aggressive, then you gain it back, then you lose a couple pounds and you're super aggressive, then you gain it back, and you're just kind of stuck in this cycle. You have to go through a process that allows your body to heal. Sometimes even that without some medication and stuff, if you screwed up your body bad enough, it requires you to get on some thyroid medication or different things to try to fix your metabolism too. Right. So I guess it's just kind of a rhetorical question. It's like, what do you want? Do you want to keep doing this thing that's insanity? Or do you want to invest, a couple of months to fix your body and then start seeing the results once and for all? So
Trust the process. Just like we tell you, when you come in for your workout, trust the process, trust your coaches. Same thing with nutrition. Follow the process. Eventually you will see those results.
yeah. And you got to do what's right. Like, if you're doing the right things for your body, that the result is going to come. It's just a matter of time. And that's where people fail, is waiting for that to happen, because they get frustrated and they think, oh, this isn't working.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough for people too, because usually by the time they are here, they're probably in a pretty desperate position anyway, right? So then the last thing they want to hear is like, you need to do this and you're going to put on more weight, right? And it's especially tough for women, just because it's very important to them, especially however they might associate themselves with whatever that weight is. So it's a tough thing to get people to understand that, but you inherently know, it is not good for my body to be eating this little amount of food. What it is. So the problem is everybody, just like everything else, you get everything gets too complicated almost. You're worried about all these different factors and what could happen and what may not happen. But if I eat more fruits and vegetables, quality protein sources, and less sugar and fat, and eat a lot of it, my body feels better. Usually your body it knows what it's doing. If you follow it, it knows what it's doing.
Not immediately.
Yeah, no.
Because
well, especially if you spend that much time messing it up, it's going to be...
You're going to feel oh, I can't take another bite of food. And it's you just suck it up for a couple, with some people, if they're younger, it's 2 days. It's 2 days and your blood sugar adapts, and you'll turn into Zach, where you're hungry every 2 hours and you got to eat. If you're a little bit older, that process might take a little bit longer, and it might be 2 weeks or something of you just feeling you're just stuffing food down. You're I can't eat this. And then all of a sudden, boom, light bulb kicks on and your body's okay, yeah, we got this. And you start getting hungry at those times, that your feeding times. Right. And then you do much better.
Yeah, it's really just like anything else. Most people tend to quit before they start to see the results. It does take a long time for anything to start to see those results. So if you can force yourself to stick it out for a month, if you can make that point, you're good, you're home free, you're not gonna cut it from there. But it's a tough thing to force yourself to be able to do it day in and day out, because nutrition is tougher than the gym, because it doesn't leave you. The gym, you come, you suffer for an hour and a half, and then you go home, right? Nutrition is with you all the time. So it's really hard to force yourself to stick through something, because the gym, you might feel terrible for an hour, but if whatever is wrong with your food, or you have made some drastic change, you might feel terrible all day until your body gets used to it, right? So it's a tough sell, but obviously it's more than worth it.
Yeah, and it's not you feel good now,
no,
right?
No,
so,
of course not.
No, right, exactly. So, all right, guys, that's under eating. I sound like this because it's a challenge. It's a big challenge. I've been doing this for over a decade, and I've run into this so many times, countless times, and it's the same process and it's the same challenges. And, unfortunately, all these diets and everything in our society for the last 40 years have caused this issue that we're seeing now, and it's culminated. And so it's like when somebody comes in, I'm like, here's the process. How do I get them to trust it,
right,
so that they can break through and see the results? And so guys, you just have to think of it as an investment, right? If you put the work in now and you trust the process, like the end result is going to be there for you. You just have to get over that hump, and then you're golden, really. So that's under eating and reverse dieting. All right, guys, we'll be back next week with more great stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. Do you have a question that you'd like for us to answer live on the podcast? If so, all you need to do is head over to the Apple Podcast app on your iPhone and do 3 simple things. First, leave us a rating and review telling me what you think of the podcast. In that review, ask anything you want related to health, fitness, or nutrition. And if you want a shout out, leave us your Instagram handle or name. That's all you have to do. Then listen to hear your questions answered live on the next Q&A episode.